First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
A Roman Catholic priest in Suffolk has resigned.
He's charged with domestic assault, allegedly involving the mother of his child. Officers arrested Reverend Peter Bayakowski on November 28th after getting called to the woman's home. 10 on your side's Ava Hurdle is live in Suffolk tonight outside St. Mary's of the Presentation. Ava?
Nicole, no one here at the church is discussing this matter, referring all questions to the Diocese of Richmond. That's the church's headquarters. Father Peter Bilkowski faces a domestic assault charge after he apparently had a fight with a woman. That woman is the mother of his child, according to police.
She advised at that time that the father of her child entered the residence, came into the bedroom, and forced her up against the wall and pinned her up against the wall. It actually took a friend that was at the residence jumping on his back in order to get him off of her.
In a letter to parishioners at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Suffolk and the Church of the Good Shepherd in Smithfield, the two churches Father Bilkowski pastored over the past few years, Bishop Francis DiLorenzo writes of an accusation of improper conduct. Quote, "There was an immediate investigation and Father Bilkowski confirmed that the accusation is true," end quote. The letter goes on to say the priest has resigned as pastor and been suspended of his priestly duties. He heads to court on the domestic assault charge next week. Now, domestic assault is a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail. We're live in Suffolk. Ava Hurdle, 10 on your side.
Right now, the search is on for a new pastor for both parishes, according to a spokesperson with the Roman Catholic Diocese of Richmond.
Investigators in York County say a man committed sex crimes against a child. 65-year-old Philip Walker is charged with sexual battery, indecent liberties, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. The sheriff's office says the crimes happened at a York County home between August and December. And a judge says no bond for a Virginia Beach police officer arrested for sex crimes against a child. 45-year-old Michael Childress is charged with sexual battery and indecent liberties. He's an 18-year veteran of the force, and he's been suspended without pay. Portsmouth police busted 5 suspected prostitutes. Now, here are pictures of 3 of them. Investigators say the arrests are part of an effort to stop prostitution in the Prentice Park and Prentice Place neighborhoods of Portsmouth.
A bus carrying more than 30 students was involved in an accident in Suffolk this afternoon. Police say an SUV rear-ended the bus at the corner of Nansman Parkway and Wilroy Road at 3:30. Luckily, none of the 36 students on board was hurt. Police charged the driver of the SUV, 19-year-old Kelsey Honeycutt, with following too close. There was only minor damage to the bus. A Hampton school spokesperson says a student's threat on social media prompted a 30-minute lockdown at Kecoughtan this afternoon. Hampton police searched the high school, the parking lot, and the student's home. Kecoughtan lifted the lockdown after the student was found off campus and police determined there was no real threat. This 25-year-old man faces reckless driving and charges of eluding an officer in an incident at the University of Richmond. It forced 2 other nearby schools to go on lockdown. University police say they walked up to Connor O'Leary's SUV at a campus apartment complex after receiving a call about a suspicious vehicle. An officer fired his weapon. No one was hurt. The university alerted U of R students and 2 other schools went on lockdown.
It sounds like I've gone to the gun range before. It sounded like 2 shots being fired. I wasn't sure if it was that or a car being blown out. Thought I was psyching myself out, but it was 2 gunshots.
Police are still searching for the suspect.
Well, some call it the sound of freedom, but the noise from fighter jets has more than rattled a woman in Virginia Beach. She claims it cracked one of her windows. Irish Engel lives about 2.5 miles from Naval Air Station Oceana. She says the Navy alerted residents in her neighborhood to expect more noise over the next 9 months while Fentress Landing Field undergoes renovations. She understands the need for flight training, but Engel says noise and vibrations from the jets are ruining her quality of life and her bank account.
I got up and looked and said, "Tag on it, it was the jets. The jets have cracked my window." And I have a friend at the other end of the runway whose window was broken as well. So anyhow, yeah, and we checked into the price, and it's between $350 and $400 to replace this window.
So now the question, can jet noise crack glass? And what are the options for those claiming damage? We're going to have some answers for you at 6.
A second Christopher Newport University freshman died from injuries in a wrong-way crash on Interstate 64. Virginia State Police say 17-year-old Kimberly Bryn passed away Monday morning. Police say Jesse Evans Jr. crashed head-on into a car full of people just before 3 Sunday morning. 19-year-old Sierra Smith died on impact. 3 other people in the car are still in the hospital. Police don't know how long Evans drove the wrong way on the interstate. We're told he's also still in the hospital.
A judge Noel Prost charges against 3 Occupy Norfolk protesters. That means those charges have been set aside for now. Police arrested Reginald Bonney, Anita Caffiero, and Jeff Hughes last month after they tried to re-enter Commercial Plaza Park shortly after their permit to occupy the area expired.
John Hinckley's sister says he should be allowed to spend more time at his mother's Williamsburg home. Diane Sims testified at a court hearing in Washington. Hinckley doesn't bother anybody and isn't pointed out during the visits. She added, Williamsburg residents are tolerant and nice. A jury found Hinckley was insane when he shot and wounded President Ronald Reagan outside a Washington hotel in 1981. He was confined to a D.C. hospital. Doctors say Hinckley's mental illness has been in remission for years. A judge has granted him more freedom from the hospital in recent years, including 10-day visits to Williamsburg.
President Obama says the American middle class is facing a make it or break it moment. And to make his point, the president took a page from the history books and traveled to the town where Teddy Roosevelt gave a famous speech about economic justice. Then on your side's Brian Moore reports on the small-town speech aimed at a bigger audience.
In tiny Osawatomie, Kansas, President Obama delivered a message aimed at both middle-class Americans and politicians back in Washington.
I believe that this country succeeds when everyone gets a fair shot, when everyone does their fair share, when everyone plays by the same rules.
The president argues he's defending the working class, while Republicans are standing with the rich. It's a rallying cry for the current tax fight in Washington and his own re-election campaign.
And in 1910, Teddy Roosevelt came here to Osawatomie, and he laid out his vision for what he called a new nationalism.
Roosevelt argued that welfare was more important than wealth, an argument this president is laying out a century later.
We simply cannot return to this brand of you're-on-your-own economics if we're serious about rebuilding the middle class in this country.
Far from the soaring rhetoric, Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill are struggling to keep a middle-class payroll tax from expiring at the end of the month. Democrats are offering to pay for it by raising taxes on the rich.
This was not a compromise. This was nothing more than another bill designed to fail. So Democrats can have another week of fun and games on the Senate floor.
Well, President Obama calls for a new nationalism on Capitol Hill. It's the same old politics. And for the record, Teddy Roosevelt's new nationalism did not go over so well with voters. He lost the 1912 election in a blowout. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
A proposal for a new Virginia Beach Convention Center hotel. 10 on your side is crunching the numbers, how much it could cost taxpayers. That's coming up at 5:30.
Operation Northern Star will show you what police and U.S. Marshals found when they raided the homes of convicted sex offenders, and hear what happened after officers stopped knocking on doors.
Then flames burning for more than 10 hours. You're going to hear what sparked a massive fire and why crews can't put it out.
And the cold front still out to the east, slow moving and not really making much in terms of eastward progression. It's going to bring us some cooler temperatures and rain. I'll tell you when coming up.
You're watching WAVY News 10 at 5 with Tom Shad, Nicole Ribas, and Super Doppler 10 Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
A transformer fire in Arizona is burning more than 15 hours after it started. The fire department says about 35,000 gallons of mineral oil used for cooking is burning inside a huge transformer inside a power substation in Phoenix. That's enough to fill 2 swimming pools. Firefighters say the flames are so hot, any water or foam evaporates before it hits the flames. So they're going to let it burn itself out. No word on how long that will take. A huge plume of smoke you see there is drifting around the Phoenix area. Crews are monitoring the air quality. The cause is under investigation, and so far, no evacuations or power outages.
A model is in the hospital after a freak airplane accident in Texas. She's 23-year-old Lauren Scruggs and had just finished looking at a holiday light display from a private plane. When they landed, she got out of the plane to thank the pilot, and Scruggs didn't realize the propeller was still powering down and then walked into the moving blades. Her parents say the young woman faces a slow recovery, but they are encouraged by her progress.
I don't know if she realizes all that would happen. She's just discovering now with that she's hurt and she's injured. She's feeling all over now. And,
right. We don't know if she remembers the accident.
Yeah. I asked her if she can hear me to squeeze my hand, and she did.
Yeah.
But she's even responding more today. I mean, this afternoon she's like
opening her eyes,
moving around in the bed, which is really good. She's uncomfortable, but she's moving, which is a good thing.
Now, Scruggs tried to shield her face. Doctors had to amputate her left arm. She also has a fractured skull and several serious cuts. A 26-year-old woman died when she fell 75 feet from the Queen Mary ocean liner in Southern California. A fire department there says the victim had been drinking, lost her balance, and fell from the walkway. A man jumped in the water to try to save her. He's in the hospital for treatment of hypothermia.
An accidental drive-through caught on tape. We'll tell you how a car ended up inside the restaurant.
And house calls on convicted sex offenders. The results are in. See what authorities found when they raided homes in 3 counties and what happened after Operation Northern Star.
Law enforcement officials call Operation Northern Star a success. It targeted registered sex offenders in Gates, Hertford, and Northampton counties in North Carolina. 10 on your side's Art Kahn went with police on the raid yesterday. Art, police made some arrests, but not many, which is a measure of success for this operation?
Well, actually, Nicole, it is. Now, as of this afternoon, police arrested 8 people, and less than half of them were individuals who violated the law requiring sex offenders to notify local authorities of a change of address. Now, authorities say that proves the pressure they put on these registered sex offenders is working. But if you look at this picture behind me, you'll see it's not the only thing it proves.
With the help of U.S. Marshals, state and local authorities went door to door in 3 rural counties looking for registered sex offenders.
We went wherever they were to check them.
Although most of the registered sex offenders targeted in this operation were in compliance with their probation, keeping track of these offenders is a constant challenge for law enforcement.
We've got a lot of folks out of Virginia that transit back and forth across state lines. They love the move. It seems to be in my county. They love the move from Gates County to Currituck, and from Currituck County back to Gates County. That seems to be an ongoing thing.
Of the 3 counties participating in this operation, Gates has the fewest registered sex offenders at 25. Northampton reports 36, and Hertford has 56 on the list.
I believe I got the suspect right in front of me.
Once word of the operation hit the streets, a number of registered sex offenders went looking for the police.
Last night my phone was ringing off the hook, trying to make sure they was in compliance and in place.
Operation Northern Star also netted several firearms, including an AK-47 automatic rifle, illegally possessed by convicted felons. Even some narcotics were seized.
And also in Hertford County, we ended up solving a break-in, getting a weapon back, ended up getting a fugitive.
Police want criminals to get a message from this and future operations.
And that message is that we will use all available resources to protect the citizens and the children of these counties and eastern North Carolina.
Now, it's interesting to note that in July of 2006, Congress passed the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act, requiring sex offenders to notify authorities of their current address. The U.S. Marshals Service is the lead agency enforcing that legislation. Art Kahn, 10 on your side.
And you can sign up to receive an email when a sex offender reports moving to a North Carolina address within 1, 3, or 5 miles of your home. We put a link to that site on WAVY.com.
Well, after an early winter blast, New Mexico is in store for more frigid temperatures. Heavy snowstorm here, closed schools and highways. Winds created snow drifts up to 2 feet high. Those freezing temps turned the snow into sheets of ice, and you saw how driving was. things are not expected to warm up until later this week. Not like here in Hampton
Yeah,
Roads.
it's another warm day here for us.
Yeah, it is another warm day, and with that cold front being pretty slow moving, it looks like we're going to see yet another day of warm temperatures before we start to cool things down. You know, timing has changed quite a bit since that front is kind of hung out toward the west. So, yeah, we're going to see one more day, once again, for temperatures to be well above average. Let's take a look right now at the satellite radar picture. This is a national picture. Yeah, we did have some snow across portions of New Mexico yesterday and across the Four Corners region, and now that has shifted more toward the east. You can see portions of the Midwest now dealing with some snow, and that just goes to show you how cold it is. Got a big trough in place across the west that's going to be swinging into our area, but just a little bit of a delay with that front still slowly making eastward progression. It's mostly moving off toward the north there, and you can see that here on live Super Doppler 10. Most of the shower activity west of I-95. Couple of spots here and there for us, but it's mostly just been a warm and cloudy day for the most part. Here's a look at the numbers. Once again, highs were back in the 70s, 74 for a high Norfolk, 73 Chesapeake, 73 Williamsburg, 70 Memphis. So we had a lot of 70s, and tonight's temperatures are going to be back on the mild end with that front still lingering out toward the west. Right now, temperatures in the 60s from Newport News to Norfolk at 68, 69 in Virginia Beach, and still at 70 degrees Chesapeake and Suffolk, Hampton at 68. So temperatures are going to slowly slide down for tonight. We're going to see a lot of clouds, temperatures in the upper 50s. That southerly flow is going to keep us warm out ahead of the front, but there could be a little bit more shower activity for tonight versus what we saw last night with that front making it a little bit closer to the area. But you can really see the showers associated with the front extending from the northeast all the way back down toward the deep south, and it's going to finally push into our area by tomorrow night. Now, again, we'll probably start to see a little bit more shower activity by tomorrow afternoon, but the actual front will move through tomorrow night. And you can really see the boundary separating the cold air from the warm air. Of course, we're on the warm side of things once again for today, but temperatures in the 30s back off to the west, and we're going to feel the chill as we go further, especially by tomorrow night and into Thursday. That's when you'll noticeably feel the cooler temperatures. Right now, we've got the 30s out toward the west, some even colder air even further west of that, and that is a secondary cold front that's going to move in for us Friday morning into Friday night, and that's also going to reduce the temperatures even more as we go into the weekend. So for tomorrow, we'll look for that front to inch even closer to the area. I think we'll start off the day with warm temperatures, and then those temperatures will start to take a dip as we head toward tomorrow night, as well as the rain chances are really going to start to go up tomorrow evening. And that's illustrated well here on Future Track. You can see overnight tonight, things are mostly quiet with the exception of maybe a spotty shower or two. 7 o'clock in the morning, mostly cloudy skies, most of the showers still off to the west. Same thing around noon tomorrow, but we had around 5 o'clock and things really start to pick up in terms of the rain intensity. Notice by 10 o'clock tomorrow evening, we'll start to see some rain, maybe heavy at times, and still seeing some of that in the early morning hours on Thursday, but I think your morning commute is going to be dry. Thursday is going to be breezy and quite cold when we compare it to where we were today. So temperatures are going to slide through the 60s to the upper 50s for tonight. Again, a spotty shower or two possible, nothing widespread expected for tonight. And tomorrow, the first half of the day is going to be warm. We'll see warm conditions into the afternoon as well, but by 6 o'clock, we'll look for those rain chances to really go up. So mostly Wednesday night is when we're going to see the widespread, even some heavy rain. And then we'll look for some cooler temperatures behind that front. Highs are only going to be in the 50s, and then that secondary front moves in for the weekend and pushes those temperatures even further downward into the upper 40s for highs Saturday and Sunday.
Most people expect to find presents under their Christmas tree, but one family was surprised by what they found in theirs, and it wasn't a gift. Why, the fire department even found it. Hard to believe.
And a North Carolina teen's in the hospital. Police say she was shot by her dad. Why officials are calling this a big mistake. That's at 5:30.
A close call for customers at a restaurant in California. A car drove right through the front door. Look at that.
Called a drive-through, right? Well, customers scrambled to get out of the way. A man was walking out the door when he was shoved back in by the debris. 3 people got minor injuries here.
The driver says she was pulling into a parking space and hit the gas pedal instead of the brakes. Police are deciding whether or not to charge her. Damage to the restaurant is estimated at about $25,000. An Idaho family says this year's Christmas tree is the most memorable one.
Maybe because of the shock that it gave them. Watch.
Snake in our Christmas tree.
Did you hear that? A snake in the Christmas tree. They called the fire department to get it out.
There was a whole lot of, hold on, what's that? Excuse me? A what?
Apparently somebody in our house made the naughty list, but next year before we bring it in the house, we will both be really inspecting every inch of it before it comes in the house.
Christmas tree sellers say sometimes little critters and animals crawl inside the trees to stay warm. If you're afraid there might be something in your tree, experts say take a broom and sweep through the branches before you bring it inside.
Sweep out those snakes. Holiday giving. You are bombarded by requests by charities this time of year. So who is using your money and who's taking advantage? That is on your side with what to look out for before you donate.
A Virginia town fighting to have this anti-Christmas display removed. Tonight at 5:30, why city leaders say there's nothing they can do about it.
Apparently, the council meeting is starting in 30 minutes.
Got a problem with this.
Who, me? What? Okay, hi, Pulley.
Tis the season to give, and charities want your donations, understandably, but we're on your side with a checklist to help you decide where to give. The Better Business Bureau says be wary of charities that spring up overnight, often in connection with current events or natural disasters. Some phony charities will use a name that sounds just like a legitimate one. And beware of promises or guaranteed sweepstakes winnings in exchange for a contribution. The BBB checks out charities, including how they spend money.
We look at 20 different aspects of a charity's operations, ranging from governance to finances to fundraising practices to website disclosures. So we are tough. A little over half of them meet our standards, but that's what we're here for, to separate the wheat from the chaff, to help people make good giving decisions.
So do a little homework before you give. Visit the Better Business Bureau Wise Giving Alliance website. We have a link, of course, on WAVY.com. And stay with us. WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.